Hi, Maddie. How are you?
Hello.
Maddie Cook.
Yeah, I'm good. Ellie Jepson. Yeah, I'm grand as always. How are you, my love?
I'm good. I'm really good today. Yeah, having a good day.
Lush. You look very
Yeah,
cute. I like the little collar on you.
I
Very
know. Very
sweet.
preppy today. Very preppy.
Yes, preppy vibes. I love to see it.
So,
Um,
what we doing? What we talking about,
well,
Maddie? Tell the people.
give the people what they want. This one was inspired not by a submission, although we love when you send us in submissions. This one was a comment that I saw that kind of got us thinking, oh, let's have a little natter about this. And it was about online coaches, online educators, online mentors, whatever you want to call them. And someone made a comment saying, I'm paraphrasing, this isn't exact word for word, but it was along the lines of, I start to wonder if it's all smoke and mirrors. And what I think they were alluding to is there are people who seem to be doing really, really well in the online coaching education space. I wonder if it's all a load of BS.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be cool if we could share our honest thoughts, our opinions, our own personal experiences as online coaches and educators. Does that sound good? Yeah?
Yeah. So the reality of how it is for us and what we
Yeah.
think about it. Obviously, we've
Yeah.
got
Yeah. Yeah.
opinions.
We've always,
We're
whenever we're
not
not,
short on opinions, Maddie.
we're abundant. So what do
Hmm.
you think, first of all, like draws people to this? Why do you think there are so many people now who are wanting to be online coaches, online educators,
I
mentors?
think there's a few things. I do think some people think it looks easy, like it looks
Yeah.
like easy money. It seems
Yeah.
easier than standing behind a chair for 9 hours a day.
Yeah.
Elements of it certainly are. But I think people think it's easy and it's
Mm-hmm.
easy money. I think there's a lot of talk about passive income, and
Yeah.
it's like you just whap a course up online and everyone's just going to come and buy it and you'll never have to do anything again. And you're going to be living this laptop lifestyle,
Yeah.
sitting on a beach, in Bali, while people are just buying your course in the
Yeah.
hundreds. And so
Yes, the dream.
I think there's a dream of that, and people
Yeah.
want a piece of it.
Yeah.
And I also think there's another thing about why people want to be coaches and educators. I think
Yeah.
hairdressing particularly is hairdressing and beauty are very physical jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when your body starts hurting, you start thinking, how long can I do this? And people feel nervous about that.
Oh,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
so it can be a really smart option to move
Yeah.
into educating and stuff around what you're really good at. So I
Yeah.
think that as well,
Yeah.
certainly a little bit to do with why I did it. And one of my beauty therapists is talking about the fact that her back's killing and she's
Yeah.
thinking about her options, and one
It's
of
the
them's
bad back
educating.
gang.
So the
Yeah.
bed back
And
gang, we want a sit
and
down job. So I think that as well.
yeah, and I think we've
What
spoke
do you
about this
think?
before, but also pensions. A lot of us don't or didn't have provisions for when our back does give in or when our body does
Yeah,
finally say no. So it's like this idea of, okay, well, I'll just move into education. That'll be like my sunset years. I'll be teaching people. I'll be drinking
yeah.
my mojito, making passive income, seeing the little pigs in Bora Bora. And I think where it's interests me because I think in obviously we exist in our industry, like the hair and beauty industry, but also we move around in the online coaching industry, and they're actually quite different. And in particular,
Yeah,
in the online coaching space, there are a lot of very big income claims. There are people having baths in actual money with foil balloons to be like, I've done 10 million. So I do get it, and especially in America, like they're much more open about income and money more so than us.
yeah,
So I think as well we're also seeing people who think it's a scam. One, because there are scammy people, like I'm not denying that at all. Sometimes they haven't tried it because they go, oh, that's too far fetched, or that's not even possible, so I'm not even going to try. Or
yeah,
I think they've tried and either it didn't work because they, well, maybe didn't put in the work required, or they bailed out too early, or they didn't make particularly great choices with who they worked with, or a person sold them into this thing that they didn't, get the sort of outcome from.
yeah,
That
yeah. I
sort of thing,
mean,
yeah.
a lot of people when they want to move into education or even coaching, tend, a lot of people, I mean, I certainly did, you buy courses around this to help you.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people feel a bit cheated. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes that's because they think, oh, I thought this was going to be easier.
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens. There's a lot more
Yeah.
work involved than you think. You know, the reality of education is we're not all sitting on beaches. I'm not sitting on the beach, Maddie, are you?
Not right this
Not right
second. I've got
now.
me
Not right this
Uzi
second. I
over my
mean,
legs.
Maddie sits on the odd beach, a few more than me.
Yeah.
But you know, it's work, but so different to the work I was used to, which was very much exchanging time for money.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't exchange time for money now. And that that felt really weird to me in the beginning, because I would spend days doing stuff and no one gave me money at the end of it. And that it feels like a big gamble, that, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It was really different than, you know, you used to do stennies and then, you know, get a cash at
Get
the end.
paid.
It feels
Yeah.
great. Yeah, the cash doesn't come every hour, every 2 hours like it does as a hairdresser or a beauty therapist, does it? And
Yeah.
I think that's unnerving for people at the beginning. It was unnerving for me. It took me a while to get used to that. That I spent a lot of time doing stuff but not getting paid at the end of the day. So that was odd.
Yeah.
Anyway, why do you think people are bailing out of educating and coaching and stuff? Like what do you think about that?
Yes, I see people, exactly as you said, is like people are quitting, I think, before they get the results, because it's not a time for money. Like, there is so much required. It's like a tipping point. Like, for me, it was, if I could draw you like a graph, I'm doing it with my hands, it was like this, tipping point. And if I'd have just stopped there, I'd still be doing, our life would be incredibly different, because it was all of the work that we did up to that point, and some very good kind of choices and decisions, and, you know, investing in the right coaching team and stuff. But yeah, I think everyone underestimates the time required, how boring it is at the beginning when you're building your audience and you're becoming an authority, because you go from being like the most confident person in a room, or like the person who's like, I'm an expert at doing hair, doing nails, doing beauty, to this total like newbie. I kind of have no idea what I'm doing as an educator, or no one knows me as this. They all know me as, Hayley the hairdresser, but no one knows me as Hayley the educator. The money that goes into that with no return in the beginning, like, if you want a decent system, the system we use is like in the thousands. Or like on our tech stack, we spend like easily 5 figures a year, over 10k a year on tech, just to provide our courses, all of the Zoom, tons and tons, like Zoom Professional, like Zapier, Canva Professional, Kartra, Simplero, like
Trying to think of all the other ones.
It's so funny. ManyChat, the whole gang. Someone was talking about, I saw a post saying, I'm not going to take card payments anymore because of the fees. And I was like, you would die to see how much we pay in card fees, but we can't not take cards. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to go and knock on for cash.
Yeah, no one's paid me in cash in years.
No, imagine.
I know. Cash.
I know, same. I have to go and get it out. Our friend Hayley, Tech Hell is what we call it. That's the reason people bail out.
I think so. In my early days, Maddie, Tech Hell was my biggest Everest. It was really hard at the beginning. I'm very, very well. I'm not actually. I was going to say I am, but it's not true for current me. But I was very tech. Just rubbish. It was rubbish with tech. Really.
Yeah.
I'm of an age where I didn't do computers at school. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all of that stuff. I just was rubbish at it, and it was really challenging for me in the beginning. It took me a while to realise I can learn it if I really have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, but it could easily have put me off at the beginning.
It's a lot, and like I would say I'm on like the techier end of tech, like we're like tech support. Like me and Aidan get calls like, "Can you help us with this tech stuff?"
Yeah.
And I found it challenging. Like, and there's still stuff now where I'm like, I cannot get my head around this. So that is hard. I know a lot of hair and beauty people will say, I'm not good at tech, I struggle with it, and then try and I can't even like describe the sort of things that you end up having to do.
trying to help them, and you're like, this is the blind leading the blind, love. Like,
it's a lot.
It's hard, isn't it? And I think the tech is the thing that would nearly have stopped me. Sure.
That's where I think stops. If it's between the money and the tech, and sometimes it's the money you pay for the tech, and you're spending it and then realize you can't use it.
And things changed for me when I started paying people to do that stuff that made me miserable.
Amen. Definitely.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think you can at the beginning you're in this really nice phase where you've got like your idea, or what you think is like your £1 million idea. Like, this is what's, I'm going to change the world with this particular thing. I'm dead passionate. I'm dead driven. And then there comes a time, there either comes a time when you realize that big idea is not something that other people are going to buy, or someone else has maybe done it or whatever. But there is a time when you have to make a big leap, a big investment, sometimes of a lot of time in money, but actually a lot of time in time, where you're like, if I'm going to go for this, I have to make sacrifices in my behind the chair job, in my time, in my family life to really get this to a place that it needs to be. And that can feel like super, super scary when you are getting towards that tipping point.
Yeah, I think so, because I often coach a lot of people around that phase. They're getting burnt out because they're trying to run an education business and work behind the chair. And they're in that thing of, when am I going to make the leap? And it's really hard. A real crux and people get quite burnt out in that phase because they're not picking one or the other. Yeah, and it gets hard. But I think, me and you both did it. We kept both businesses going for a while. You have to.
Yeah.
You've got what's paying your bills, and then you've got your dreams, and you've got to monetize it. And, but then you have got to make the leap into, all right, we're doing it now. Scary. This is going to pay the mortgage.
That's it. We're going in.
Income go. You can't do as much hair and stuff. And, that crux is difficult for people, isn't it? For sure. Yeah. And what else? I mean, what else do we think? What do people need to keep in mind, do you think? About what do you think people don't know?
Let's pull the curtain.
What do people not know about the reality of, like, what did we learn quickly about the reality?
What did we learn? What's going in my book that Emma says I must write about my shenanigans in the business? One is consistency. You will feel so sick of the thing that you talk about, the topic that you talk about, the ways that you talk about it. In your mind, internally, you will be like, there cannot be a person on earth who has not heard me say this, but you have to keep saying it, because you will still have new people going. I have people who've been in my Facebook group who go, oh, I didn't know you had a pricing calculator. I'm like, what? How have you been here and missed that out? But also because I'm like stoked about it and really passionate about it. I speak about it in the same way that I did on day one, but especially if you're in like a live launch, like where you've got like open enrollment for something, in your sleep you're going to be like, Breakthrough is a group coaching program for people who are fully booked who want to drop a day behind the chair without sacrificing profits. It's like off your tongue, and you just honestly, by the end, you just like, I cannot say this one more time, but that consistency. Repetition.
You've got to get over that thing that if you're not bored, you're not saying it enough. If you're not bored yet, you've not said it enough times.
Yeah.
That's what someone said to me.
I love that. Like, agreed.
God.
Yeah, keep saying it.
Keep saying it and stuff.
Yeah.
What about you? What I realised was, you've got to turn up, and you're going to have to put yourself out there, and you're going to have to make peace with the fact that people are going to think things about you, and they might even say things about you. But you've got to get over that. You're going to have to become visible, and you will need to become the face of your business. Mm-hmm. Like you might have, as a hairdresser, been posting lovely pictures of your client, the back of your clients' heads or whatever, and all of that. But you're going to have to become the face of your business. People are going to have to invest in you. Yeah. And you're going to have to get comfortable with that and all that comes with that. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I did understand that to some degree when I first started, but I'd say since I started, it's gotten bigger. That sort of thing has gotten even bigger. because the video element of social media has ramped up since I started. You used to be able to put a
totally.
quote on and
and you could
it.
like have a logo, kind of hide behind it a bit, but if you want to be like an authority, like you're going to have opinions.
You're going to have to turn up.
Yeah, exactly. And
people are might think things about you, and you just have to get over it. All of that
just
stuff.
let them. Yeah, that's a good lesson. A thing that I think is just really important, and I would advise to anyone who is embarking on this, is originality. So if you know, we've got onto like copycats and stuff in episode 7, but I think, you know, we can acknowledge that everything that we know is an amalgamation of every conversation we've had, every experience we've had, everything that we've learned and things like that. But what I see is people who just want to be an educator for the reasons you've listed: the laptop lifestyle, the passive income, the dream, but they're not really sure what to teach. They just go, I just want to have that and do that. And I see them. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so what's the idea? What's the plan? And they flip-flop around. So like we say, they're never on that path long enough or consistently enough to get to that tipping point. They're spending all their energy and like, I'm going to make this course. No, now I'm going to talk about this, and now I'm going to talk about something else. And what I see them doing is going, what works for other people, and I'm sure people even coach them to do this, go and see what other people are doing and where other people are making money. What can you learn from them? And people basically can kind of rip each other off. But if you know what they're doing, but not like why they're doing it, or you don't have that passion, or you don't actually know your topic, it becomes almost quite awkward, because you can't speak with confidence, you can't speak with conviction, you can never really do like a live Q&A, you could never be a speaker or a panelist, because your topic's not actually a topic. So I would really, really urge people to really think, is this something that I could be asked any question on the spot by anyone and answer it really, really confidently? If it's not, I don't think we should be personally teaching about it.
Yeah,
you'll come unstuck.
I think a few things about originality. I think about, you know, in the early days, I was so creative in the early days, particularly because there was no one else talking about what I was talking about, really. And it was so easy to be creative and original, and I wasn't looking at other people. But sometimes when I find my creativity is waning, it's often because I'm paying attention. So I'm watching too many people on Instagram or wherever and what they're doing, and it starts to ruin my creativity. And I think, you know, a lot of the phrases and things that me and you dine out on in our business, you know, the phrases that we say that people attribute to us, we came up with in the early days, didn't we? You know, like these were the things that we thought of that were so us, and people now attribute them to us. But I think when you're spending so much time watching what everyone else is doing, you rarely come up with something original. It's just like another version of what someone else has done. I think the thing is this, what I see is, you know, my friend Daniel Mason Jones, who I present Head Up with, he's American, he's delightful. He teaches leadership a lot. We had a conversation once and we said, we both teach something we used to be really bad at and that we got good at. And I think people who were bad at something, who decided to conquer it and get good at it, are very good at teaching that, because they understand what it's like to be bad at it. They're now good at it, and they figured out systems, often for themselves, to get out of that. And so you become very good at explaining something simply, because you literally bootstrapped your way through it. And so, you know, Daniel's amazing at teaching leadership, but he says, I didn't start out as a good leader. I was actually a bad, when I look back, he said, I know I need to apologize to a few people. And I love that about him. And, you know, for me, I was a burnt out and depressed hairdresser, and I figured it out. And I now talk about that, but I talk about how I figured it out and put systems in. And so I just think, and you know, figured out all the pricing stuff. You made the mistakes.
I was terrible at pricing, like so bad. So bad.
Yeah, you made all the mistakes and figured that out. And there's a real passion when you figure something out, isn't there, to tell everyone about it?
Yeah. And when you know the pain that they're in and the struggle because you've experienced that, you're not just like this messiah, like, I am all-knowing being who is perfect. You're like, I get it. I was like crying in the shower. I was doing exactly the same, like couldn't pay my bills. I totally understand where you're at. Like, that sort of thing.
There's a real drive to help other people not suffer like you did, I find, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. But the key is that I didn't teach pricing when I was shit at pricing, and you didn't teach getting out of burnout when you were burnt out. Like, you do it after. You've got to get the result. And I think that my kind of rule of thumb of when I'm choosing a person to work with as a coach or educator, and this would be what I'd suggest to someone who wants to do this, is only teach something that you've either got results in for yourself, like exactly as you've said, you've overcome it, you've got there, or you've got proven results of getting that for other people. So for example, like if you're a brain surgeon, I don't need you to have had brain surgery, but I do need you to have done lots of successful surgery on someone else. Yeah. It's that kind of thing is like, have they done it themselves? Do they walk the talk, or have they got actual results? If they don't fit into either of those buckets for me, I'm just like, no, because all it is then I've read something, I've put it together, I've gone on Google, I've gone on ChatGPT, I think I can teach this thing. But for me, I think the conviction and that passion and that confidence is like really, really important for me, because I want to be able to ask the people I work, my coaches and mentors, like, I want to be able to trust that they can lead me through the thing that I'm, paying them to help me with, and vice versa.
I could probably blag my way through teaching a balayage class. I mean, nobody comes to that, I promise you. However, when I talk to Emma Fowler about colour, her depth of knowledge is so much.
It's like another language. It's so good.
Honestly, if I went back to her, I'd have to go and do some courses now. But how she speaks about it and stuff, there's so much knowledge behind it. And that's the thing, isn't it? I could probably put on a class, be all right, but don't ask me.
But if someone asked a question, the question, there's no Q&A.
There's no Q&A section. I'm just going to tell you this. This is it. It's a look and learn. I can't do anything else.
But that is, it is what we see, isn't it? Is that people do that and then they get unstuck because they can't answer it. They don't know beyond that one thing that they've put out,
Yeah. I see else? Stuff like this as well, which I think is really tough, is that it's a real roller coaster being an educator, isn't it? And I think, I was going to say more in the early days, but I still feel like I'm on a roller coaster every now and again, because I think every time you get a bit better, you get a new roller coaster in a way, and I've kind of got used to the roller coaster and the all or nothing that can be with education, whereas the money doesn't come in one big check at the end of the month anymore, or every hour someone's tapping my card machine. That's not how I get paid anymore. And that can feel roller coastery for people, can't it? It's a new way to manage things. But I think also some people can have real early success with one thing and then make big decisions on based on that success, like, I'm going to shut down my salon and run in this direction, and then figure out their business isn't sustainable, their education business isn't sustainable yet. And I have seen a little bit of, I think I've seen a little bit of that. People are not overly talking about that. I mean, maybe the smoke and mirrors people, that's what they're talking about. But I do think it can be quite up and down and something to get hold of, can't it? And, you're going to really think, I wanted my business to be a good few years of sustainability before I let go of my clients. And I remember you messaging me. We didn't really know each other very well. Do you remember when you messaged me? And you were like, I see you've stopped doing hair. How did that go? And I told you all about that and stuff. But, it's interesting, isn't it? I always think about that. You must have been watching going, she's done it. How did that go? I'm thinking about doing it, and you just want to speak to someone who's done it, don't you? Yeah. It's a tough moment, isn't it, that?
I didn't stop doing hair until really after we had our first sort of, what I'd say, bigger months, as in where we'd replaced the income from working behind the chair, replaced Aiden's income. We had that for, let me think, the best part of 18 months before I stopped doing hair, because we could have just had that 1 month and went, oh, brilliant, this is how it is. And that, that would have been really scary. And it was challenging having to do both at the same time. That was really difficult. And obviously my back was not great, but there can be initial success because there's like a buzz. Maybe people who like you and follow you are like, yeah, I'm going to buy this thing. But then once they've bought it, you're then like, oh shit, I need other people to buy it. Like, how do I do that? And then they spend a bunch of money on like paid ads or lose a bunch of money. So it can be really hard. I see as well people seeing that like memberships, like recurring revenue is like the holy grail. But it is hard. We've obviously got our experience with memberships. I know a bunch of people who've had them, who've closed them, who've had incredibly successful, like financially successful ones, and still close them because of the I guess the stress. It's like there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Is there's
I think you can compare it to this. Do you know how people say like social media never ends? And it's like the constant monster needs feeding. Having a membership similar.
Yeah.
It needs constant chipping away at. And if that doesn't suit your personality, you're going to find that tough. Like if you want to launch a course twice a year, you can be very all or nothing. But then that's going to be all or nothing with your income. Whereas if you want that consistency with a membership, it needs loads of attention, and I don't think people realise that. It needs heaps of attention, doesn't it, a membership?
And I think like audience size as well, like I wouldn't advise anyone to do membership until you've got like a really, really decent engaged audience, because what happens if you launch a membership, you get 5 members and then you're like, oh my God, I've promised them a new class every week and all these guests coming in and a platform that I'm actually now spending more on than what I make from these members. And that's what I see people doing is like, I guess as well, like not looking at the numbers of things and not going, okay, this is, if I'm going to do this, this is what we need to launch with.
Thinking this is what you do. People get memberships. This is what you do, isn't it?
The done thing.
I think another thing that people come up against, I've certainly done it, and it's the same thing as that happens in hairdressing and beauty. It's overgiving, undercharging. Who's undercharging for hair colours? You're probably going to do it for your courses as well. It's the same thing. I just think it's so easy to undercharge for your education and your coaching when you're new and you're nervous, the same as when you're doing hair, and that's hard to turn that around.
And I think overgiven as well in terms of like what people get access to. Like I've seen people given, you can WhatsApp me anytime, any day for the rest of your life. And I'm like, no, please don't give anyone that unless it's like,
will they?
that's a mistake you make once.
I think, you won't do that on your next course.
No. And actually as well, like, a high ticket versus low ticket. So people think, I'll do low ticket, I'll sell a bunch, but again, you need a big audience size or big launches. But if you're selling something high ticket, like it has to be really, really good. And what I find interesting expectation wise is there's people who've paid me $2.99 or nothing sometimes because it's a free thing, and their expectations are high, put it that way. And I've had people pay me like multiple thousands of pounds who do not DM me between calls. They like are super respectful. They wait until the agreed time to speak. So I think people think, oh, well, I don't want to charge more because people have higher expectations. In my experience, the people who've paid me the most actually have not that they don't have high expectations, but they're actually some of the easiest and nicest people to work with. So there's those sorts of decisions as well to make.
Yeah, all of that. I think one thing, we all talk about this, like our little crew talk about this quite a lot, don't we? That lockdown accelerated a lot of people as educators. Like if you were good to go in lockdown, that was the heyday for building your audience. Yeah. I built my audience and my business from the ground up in lockdown. I basically launched on Instagram in November 2019. And then, by the March, we were in lockdown. Everyone was staring at the phone every day. And so was I, because I was still behind the chair then. And a lot of us built our audiences, our reputation in a time when hairdressers were captive audiences.
Yeah.
And it's gone now, hasn't it? Like, we all notice it's not the same. That acceleration has disappeared. Things have gone back to normal now. And hairdressers are not staring at the phones 24/7 with grants in the pockets, wanting to buy your course all the time. And so for now, if you're an educator wanting to grow your audience now, people are more discerning than they were in lockdown, I think. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. That? And you need time as well. Like, that's obviously what we do with our guys in Breakthrough, is like, because a lot of them do want to be educators and coaches, but I'm like, before you even start coming up with the plan, the offer, the launch, the audience, whatever, if you are working 5 days or 6 days stacked behind the chair, like, you will literally never have enough time and mental capacity and space to do that. So and I talk about how in transparency we had lockdown, which was like, time-wise, I'd never had so much time on my hands.
All I did
was worked
to
on
stay
it.
sane in lockdown was worked on the Resilient Hairdresser. It was brilliant for me because I suddenly had all this time, because I was a really busy, burnt out hairdresser trying to set up an education. And then all of a sudden it all got taken away and I could just focus on what I was really passionate about, which was, the good thing that came out of lockdown for me.
Yeah. But I think timing's
it is harder now.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I think it is harder, isn't it? For sure.
Yeah. And I think as well, just being kind of mindful of what your goals are and what sort of educator you are. So, a lot of people, their first step is, I'm going to teach what I do. So I'm going to teach nail techs how to do nail art, or I'm going to teach hairdressers how to do a particular colour. And they think, I'm going to get off the salon floor as an educator, and then realise, I'm not, because I'm always going to need clients. Like, I'm always going to need heads of hair to do colour on and models and
photographs.
Yeah, so... And that's not a particularly passive way of working. That's not a particularly flexible freedom, location freedom generating.
There's no laptop lifestyle if you need models constantly and things like that, is there?
Yeah, definitely worth thinking about. So,
isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Shall we talk about Maddie?
yeah. Let's talk about some nice bits. Yeah.
Let's talk about the reality of what's good about educating for me and you, shall we?
Yeah.
Like, personally. Shall I go first?
You go first. What's your favourite bits?
I think this. I've been a hairdresser. I've been an educator, and I think they've both got their stresses. But I find the stresses that come with education just suit my brain better.
Yeah.
My ADHD brain gets to please itself most of the time. If I'm not in the mood for something, I can more often than not push it into a different day. Yeah. We do that a lot, don't we? We
kick it down the road.
Today, let's kick it down the road. Like, I can sort of do things to suit my mood a little bit more, and that has done wonders for my mental health. Having to turn up somewhere at a certain time when I wasn't in the mood was hard for me. That was hard. And so this kind of freedom to be able to be more flexible with my diary has been brilliant. I love having a slow morning. I sometimes say I just sit around in the morning on my phone and stuff, but actually sometimes it's like I don't get off the couch till about 11. But I realise I've posted on social media, I replied to loads of emails, I've planned my day. Yeah. I just sort of like this slow morning where I sit on the couch and have a think about what I'm going to do. And that happens. I can do that most of the time. Sometimes I'm coaching early, but I love that. I like being able to go to Tesco on a Tuesday afternoon. I don't have to go on a Sunday. I love all of that. And mainly, I'm so passionate about what I do now that it's a total joy. Whereas I'd been hairdressing for 30 years and my passion was not the same. After 30 years, I wasn't as passionate as I was. I liked it and I liked elements about it, but the passion I have around helping hairdressers out of burnout and support them with their mental health, I just have it in buckets. Like, if I won the lottery, I would still do it in a way. I mean,
yes,
I'd be on that beach, I'm telling
from the
you
yacht.
now, from my yacht, but I would still do it in some capacity because I care about it. And I think that's nice to know, innit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally agree.
Yeah. What about you, Maddie? What's great about being an educator for you?
So I think what I loved about doing hair and why I always came back to extensions was the result. Like I really love a result. I love a transformation. I love taking someone from like one place to the next. And that's why I always, I loved extensions so much. And I remember having this sort of in a dialogue thinking, when I got to that fork in the road moment of like, okay, one of these needs to go. Which one's it going to be? Is it going to be the coaching or the kind of after the lockdown or the hair? And I thought I can either just do transformations for like 3 people a day, or I can help entrepreneurs to help their clients, but I can scale this, scale that impact in a massive way and scale that transformation in a massive way. And it's still a transformation, like we were at Salon International and one of my students came up and literally sobbed. Do you remember? And everyone was like, is she okay? Like, I was like, no, it's happy tears. And, she'd gone from...
This happens around Maddie.
This happens. People cry to me quite a lot in a lovely way. And she's just absolutely incredible. And, her journey is phenomenal. She went from... She had to take a second job just to keep the salon business open, and has just hit 150,000 turnover, is paying a team really well, obviously doesn't have this need to do this side hustle anymore. And getting to see that, and actually because we don't get to see that a lot of the impact we have, we kind of don't even know about it because it's not the person in the chair in the mirror. But those times when people tell us in the emails that we get in face to face, and I've been stopped in I got stopped in the toilets of Cabaret because someone was like, oh my god, I've done your courses. Like, like
it's fun, that, isn't it?
It's crazy. I got stopped on an aeroplane in Glastonbury. Like, it's at a wedding. Someone was like, I've used your calculator. So that for me is just incredible. And freedom, which the first time I really tasted that was in the lockdown, when we had not freedom in a lot of ways we didn't, but like when I was able to be like, oh, I can do this from a laptop because mine doesn't require people, I don't do hair education or whatever. I don't have kids. I'm in a nice position where we can travel around and stuff, and how that integrates, how I've integrated my life and travel and work is just, I feel like I'm really nailing that now. And like what you were saying, I think in a couple of episodes ago, is like, how do you want to spend your days? Like, I love how I spend my days now. And slow mornings, naps, having a nap, and everything still work. Like, it's still going on. And it's I absolutely wouldn't change it. But I think we just need to be transparent. That's it. That's the thing on, like, it's not that it's smoke and mirrors. There are some very, people who are incredibly successful, and I just don't want people to think that it's... I want people to be realistic, I guess, with their expectations and kind of keep going as well. Like, because you never know when that month's going to be that you go, okay, this is it and I've nailed it. Like, don't bail out before that.
Out of the blue, those successful ones, I find you never see them coming. But I also want to say that, like, I might be swanning round Tesco on a Tuesday afternoon, but that night I'm probably teaching. My evenings might be taken up with education. Like, your evenings get taken up quite a lot, don't they, when you're doing online education?
Like,
I'll go that real mixed schedule.
Yeah, like I was in LA for 5 weeks, but I was getting up at 5 a.m. their time to have a call in the UK, or I was teaching sometimes at 7 a.m, but then I had the whole rest of the day and the night, and obviously that's my choice, but that's what I love. I love that integration of, like, I don't now take holidays to get away from my work. I integrate my work into, like, these longer holidays where I can really nicely balance those things. What should we leave? Not final thoughts, but we'll leave on our... What was some good advice that you were given, Hayley, as you went on this journey?
I heard this from Brit Seaver, actually, on her podcast. I used to listen to her quite a lot, in the early days of educating, and she was talking a lot about new educators around that time. I remember. She doesn't talk about that so much now, but she said this, and I took it to heart and I ran with it, and it stood very true. And I tell other people this as well. She said, just give in the early days, and don't expect anything back, and don't expect to make any decent money for 2 years. You are building your audience, and you are giving, and you are letting people know what you're about. And I thought, oh, okay, all right. And so I adjusted my expectations about being paid, and I just spent my time helping people, giving, and that's what I did. And it was right. The money came. I started to be better paid for stuff and being offered about 2 years in.
Yeah.
And that stood really true for me. But I think sometimes people think the money's going to come a bit faster.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of, you've got to build an audience, haven't you?
Yeah. I think there's stuff that you can definitely buy your stuff. Yeah, there's definitely stuff you can do. And if I did it again now, I could really expedite that bit at the beginning because of everything I've known over the last 6 years. But yeah, it's the given without expectation of receiving. Gary Vee says, I think his book's called, or his thing's called, jab, 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 right hook, and he's like, give, ask for something. Yeah.
Yes.
I think for me, it's, back to what we were saying about like, find the thing that if it is, in particular, if it's a niche thing, but something that you're good at, something that you're really passionate about. We just need to show up like that. We need to just be obsessed. I honestly think you have to be obsessed with the thing that you do, that you teach, to the point where, like, I'll tell someone at the gym's like, what do you do? And I'm like, okay, so hair and beauty people, struggle with pricing, and this, this is like stats, and I just like Disney magic. I'm like, right, I'm going to talk about this.
Yeah.
And I think as well, the faster you can get past that cringe state and just get used to getting on video and speaking and having an opinion, like that will collapse time. That'll move stuff much faster.
It's funny, someone said to me recently, how do you talk about the same thing all the time, Hayley? And I just said, because I love it. I love it, and I try to find different ways to say it. And she was like, I see that. But I think, with her job, she was like, I just can't imagine talking about the same thing all the time. I was like,
we love it.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Definitely. Lush.
So, should we do some hyper focuses, Maddie?
Yeah, I've got one for you.
What have you got?
So mine tends to just be things that I've spent money on this week, which is fine. And this is a shout out to my friend Carly, who was a hair client and now a good friend of mine. And she's the same as me and can't hold on to things without losing them, because we're like adult toddlers. And I lose my phone all of the time. And we just got the new iPhone, and my old case, because, I have like my little toddler lanyard thing.
Oh, yeah.
Kept, I didn't realise that the buttons were different. So it kept taking screenshots. It was like muting. And I thought, oh, God, I better get a new one. And I knew she recommended one. So I messaged her. And it's called Bandolier. I need to get commission for these. But how good. It's got a little thing for your cards, and it can fit 6 cards in.
Yeah, my friend has one of them.
And then I've got my little AirPod pouch, so I can't lose my AirPods because I lose those all of the time. And it's just very nice, but they do lots of different, like, you can get different straps. There's like tassely ones, like fancy ones, sort of gym ones. And I'm just like, it's so funny because at the gym I take up the most space ever. I'm like, here's my giant phone accessory, but I don't lose it. But I'm very impressed with this.
Getting fully obsessed with that and getting them in all colours.
All the colours, all the ranges. Oh, there's even, I got a one that you...
Getting them all. Yeah. When you got obsessed with your Crocs and the accessories.
All the gibbets. I also, for that, there's like a little bag that attaches to the clips that you can put your passport in. And then I got another strap that's got little pockets. It's like a utility thing. And because I always play a game of like, how much can I take the piss on a flight without my quote unquote my baggage allowance? I'm like, well, it's just on me. I'm just wearing my keys and my passport and my lip balm and everything. So I feel like Action Man.
Away with that.
Oh,
it's like an inside out handbag, Maddie.
It is
inside out.
Hands free.
It's just all outside.
Yeah,
that's it.
Hands free. You don't have to carry.
Outside instead.
No more bad backs, Hayley. No time for that anymore. Genius. So that's mine. Tell us about yours.
Look into that.
Yeah.
I've decided, so I am a good cook. I just don't like cooking. Like, I'm sick of it. I used to be obsessed with cooking and cook for people. Now I live on toast, left to my own devices. But the other day, this hyperfocus just waved over me, Maddie. I was scrolling my phone. I saw one person post a brilliant recipe that was easy, like a 15-minute wonder. I saved it, and then Instagram served me a million more of these similar things. So I made a board of meals. So I've got them saved. And my new plan is to just do them one at a time and see how it goes. I'm going to try and grow my repertoire and start actually cooking proper food for myself. And so I did my first one the other day. I can't pronounce it, but I can't pronounce it, but you know that Korean paste? It's like gochujang or something. Korean spicy paste. It's, it's everywhere. I made a creamy noodle sauce with this paste. Took about 15 minutes. Buzzing.
Delish.
But I went to the supermarket and I bought loads of ingredients that I need for all these dishes. And I'm going to work my way through. Tonight, I'm going to be making for myself lasagna soup. It's basically it's like a deconstructed lasagna. It's all the ingredients just shoved in.
I love that. That's my kind of lasagna. Just hide it in a thing. Amazing.
Yes. So that's my new. I mean, I think it'd be brilliant if I could get focused on cooking again, because that phase has been over for about a decade.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll get obsessed with exercise one day, but we'll see. And then I'd be brilliant.
Well, I'll stick with the exercise and eating like 15 hash browns a day. That seems to work. But I would like to cook. But you tell me how it goes for you, and then I might copy.
I just thought if I could get a couple of good recipes together that take 15 minutes and are not that hard, I could be winning at life. So that's my plan.
You'll be champion. Love it.
That's my plan.
Okay, well, we'll keep each other posted on our updates of Hyperfocus.
Yes.
And I will see you next week.
I'll see you next week, Maddie. Nice to see you.
All right, see you, pal. Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments.
Please support those who support us and check out Timely, who we recommend as our favourite booking system for you. New customers can get 50% off their first 3 months with the code COFFEE50.